Hey,
Hey, Ruby.
hey, Steve. Hey, Isaac. How are you?
How's it going?
Doing good. What's up?
It's been a while since we've had Steve on our live stream. When was the last time we had you, Steve? It was like a few months at least.
Yeah, a couple months ago.
And that was for our pair programming best practices, right?
Yep.
Nice. So I think this episode's like a cool transition from that episode because GitHub Copilot is what we'll be talking about. And it's been like touted as your AI pair programmer. So
hmm
lucky that we have you for this one. But yeah, as folks are jumping in, let us know where you're joining us from. And if you are totally new to our streams, what we do here on our Postman Student Programs live streams is promote API literacy and API education through a couple of different programs that you'll find on our webpage, which I will share right here. That's our Student Programs webpage. And the programs that you'll find there are all free. They offer digital badges that you can display on your social profiles like LinkedIn and on your resume. Isaac, do you mind sharing really quickly with folks what they can expect from our streams?
Yeah, definitely. So you can expect us to bring on guests like Steve, do tech demos, have Q&As, ask me anythings, and different tech talks, and really explore how you can be a better developer with Postman from our Postman Student Programs live stream.
Sweet. But yeah, with that background, let's kind of jump into some formal introductions. I know folks who haven't seen Steve before are probably really curious who he is, but I'll start with my introduction. We'll send it off to Isaac, and then Steve, you can introduce yourself as well.
Sounds
But
good.
starting with myself, my name's Ruby, and I'm a senior developer advocate at Postman. I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, which is in the United States, and I've been at Postman for a little over a year and a half now. Isaac, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name is Isaac Atif. I'm a developer advocate on the student programs team at Postman. I'm coming to you live from New York, and I'm super excited to be back here again with another live stream with Ruby. And we have a special guest here as well. Everyone, please welcome Steve.
Hey, everyone. My name is Steve Torrence. I am currently a software engineer at Handshake. I've been there for about half a year. Before I did programming, I did a little bit of teaching for 7 years, and happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome to have you here. We were actually just talking about how so many of us have teaching backgrounds, so it's awesome that we get to work with new developers and folks who are just learning about all of this new technology because this is what we love doing is we love helping people learn new things.
Mhm.
So great to have all of our energies here together. But yeah, let's actually move into a segment that we've been doing in our more recent episodes, which is to take a closer look at our student expert certification. We'll take a look at that and then we'll move into the main content of our episode today. But taking a look at our student expert certification, let me actually share my screen here. Really quickly here. Perfect. When you make your way to our student program landing page, which is at postman.com/student program, let me share that across the screen one more time. This is what you will find. You will find all of our programs listed here, some background on all of them, but Student Expert specifically is what we're taking a look at. That's where you can get free certification and a badge to display on your LinkedIn profile and on your resume. There's lots of great benefits to being a student expert, which you'll find here. And then you can easily apply to the training by clicking this button, enter your information, and once you submit, you'll get access to a link to our academy where our free student expert training is offered. You'll get API fundamentals, background, and Isaac, do you want to share some new updates to that training? Because we have some changes to announce here.
For sure. So, as Ruby mentioned, we have the student expert training that you can try out, and I'm going to share my screen with the lesson in just a moment. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we got it.
Okay, awesome. So, like Ruby mentioned, this is our student expert training, and this is our new update that we added. So, we recently added a new update called Skill Check, which is a lesson which challenges your knowledge and your skills that you gain from working through our student expert training. And you're basically going to be just like throughout this training, you play the role of a digital librarian. In this lesson, you're going to change up the flow a little bit, and you're going to be working at a movie theater and adding data to a movie database. So that's just a little taste of what you can expect working in this lesson. But things you're doing here is you will be building a request that checks your skills. And there's a step-by-step here that you can follow. You'll be doing things like using Postman Echo to build your request and putting that, using that as the endpoint in your request, adding parameters to your request, using base URL variables to simplify that endpoint, using authorization, creating a JSON body, and also you'll be using test scripts. So these are all things that you learn by going through our student expert training. So before you reach the new skill check lesson, you already have been introduced to these different topics, like using JSON, adding a JSON body, and using parameters. So yeah, and just to give you a glimpse at this lesson, this is just a quick short preview of what you can expect in this new part of the training. We also have a video that you can watch to help you submit your collection to make it that much easier. And we also always have a section at the bottom where you can get help. So if you get stuck or if you have an error, you can review our frequently asked questions page, which is updated with different questions you might have, and you can check that out there. And you can also contact us at studentprogram@postman.com. Just please be mindful to send details about any errors you have, and then we'll get back to you within a time duration. So yeah, and just to show you all a little bit of what it looks, what the exercise actually looks like. So I'm going to share my other tab. So this is what the API fundamentals training looks like in Postman. So right now I'm on the skill check exercise. And what you're basically being asked to do is that after you've gotten through all the steps in your training and you've reached the skill checkpoint, it's just going to ask you to add a request, and you're going to call it skill check. And then you're just going to follow these steps. So I'm going to switch back to I'll just go ahead and share the whole window. Make this quick. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yeah, it's just mirroring a little bit.
Oh, I'll switch back to the tab now. Okay. So, right. So all you're doing is you're following the steps in this new skill check lesson. So just follow these steps, and then if you get stuck, you can always reach out to us. And yeah, that's all for the skill check lesson.
Awesome. So it sounds like there's a little bit of a difference from how the training was before with this new skill check edition. Does that sound right, Isaac?
Right. So we also updated the training. So we removed the second part of student expert. There used to be a part 2 where you would complete exercises using the visualizer in Postman. That's no longer required. All the training is in the first part. So that's all you need to do to complete your training and get certified as a student expert.
Awesome. I know when folks have questions that they can always go to studentprogram@postman.com and send us a message, and folks will reply from there. But I know you also do Discord office hours too, right? Those are on Thursdays?
That's right. So every Thursday we'll have Discord office hours. You can bring your questions related to student expert training, and we'll answer them. You'll either find me or Anshul there helping you out. So definitely get certified today as a student expert.
Awesome. So I'm super glad we went over all of those changes. I know that that's something brand new, and we've had a lot of questions come in for that already. So I'm glad we got to cover a little bit of that. But let's move right into why we're all here today for this episode. For today's episode, we actually thought it'd be a great idea to discuss GitHub Copilot and some other VS Code extensions that we see students and folks in general getting a lot of use from these days. AI technology has been dominating tech news for a few months now. with OpenAI's ChatGPT and DALL-E. But we've seen GitHub Copilot take a little bit more of student attention these days. It's been around actually longer, and unlike ChatGPT, which is what it's often compared to, GitHub Copilot's entire purpose and focus is on providing code solutions. It's actually powered by OpenAI's Codex, which was launched in partnership with GitHub. And question for you, Steve and Isaac, have you all heard of, and maybe for the audience as well, have you all heard of GitHub Copilot and have you seen it used?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, I think when it was out in beta, I had access to it, signed up for beta access, and that was before they started charging for it. And yeah, it really blew me away just how capable it is in terms of writing code or generating code.
I'm curious because I just started playing around with GitHub Copilot. When was it available in beta? Was that like May, June of last year?
I think so. I don't remember exactly the date off the top of my head. But yeah, once I guess they felt they were comfortable enough with it, they went ahead and opened it up to everybody for, I think they charge like $10 a month now.
Yeah. Isaac, were you going to add that you've seen it used before?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm starting to see like more business applications coming out of it and how useful it is just as a tool for software engineers. And I guess like, I think it's fair to address the elephant in the room. I have friends who are like, this thing is threatening me. I feel like it's going to take my job. I do feel like, off the bat, this is a tool that will help productivity and developers a lot more. And at the end of the day, this just might be my opinion, just a little bit, but I do think we still need people to help solve issues related to code and development. We're always going to need a person behind the tool. It can't just, go away like that. But yeah, I've seen applications like that in business.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen OpenAI very openly share that you do need to review and revise the stuff that's generated. So even with GitHub Copilot, you do want to go ahead and test the stuff that you're getting back and make sure it actually does work and it fits your actual use case. If you have to change a variable name, if you have to change an environment, these are like special nuanced things that you would know about as the developer that you still have to like go in and fix and edit. Same with like ChatGPT and stuff. Not everything is cited. So you want to make sure that things are true and valid and, that you've reviewed them.
Right. What's your source? Google said so.
Stack Overflow.
Stack Overflow is a good one.
Stack Overflow was already our source. So I think ChatGPT, all it did was just make it quicker to get Stack Overflow suggestions.
Yeah, for some time, Stack Overflow actually was banning ChatGPT responses in their forums. So yeah, it was pretty serious. You got to double check what you get back from these AI technology tools.
People are needed.
Definitely. But yeah, let's actually do some exploring of GitHub Copilot's documentation and see what we find there. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Oh, there we go. GitHub Copilot, your AI pair programmer. Sweet. So when you Google GitHub Copilot, one of the first things that you'll see is a link to the documentation for GitHub Copilot, but you can also find it at github.com/features/copilot. Once you arrive here, you'll see a list of different features GitHub has. Here's Copilot. And like I mentioned before, it's been touted as a pair programmer assistant, your AI pair programmer. They have some great GIFs here and videos that you can see how it's being used in different languages as well. Trained on billions of lines of code, GitHub Copilot turns natural language prompts into coding suggestions across dozens of languages. So I've actually seen it being really helpful for folks who are trying to learn another programming language. Have you all seen that as well?
Yeah, I've seen that. Because I think the idea behind it is it gathers context based on like open source code. I think at least that's how I think it works. So I mean, as long as there's an open source, library or whatever, a package, yeah, that could be a great way to sort of dive into a new language, or even if you're learning a library specific to a certain language, it's a great way to sort of get your hands dirty.
Yeah, definitely. I did see that a lot of what's available is trained on what's stored in GitHub already in these all of the different repositories. And there was some concern that folks were thinking their private repositories were going to be used to train this. I've seen GitHub assure folks that that's not the case, that your private repositories are safe, that this is all open source stuff, like you
Yeah.
mentioned here, Steve. And I know you mentioned earlier that it's not free. It looks like they say that right up front on their documentation that it's actually $10 per month or $100 per year for their non-business service. But you do get a free trial. I actually signed up for it last week. And it's, I believe, a 60-day trial. So you can play around with it for some time, actually, before you start paying for it. Yeah, here's it in Go. You've got Ruby. You've got JavaScript and Java.
Wow, Ruby, you're there too.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. But yeah, this is great. I like seeing it in action in their documentation. This is really great to see it. So I hope that once we start test driving it, it looks very similar. Steve, I'm curious, have you actually played around with it yet? What are your reflections and impressions of it?
Yeah, I really like GitHub Copilot. I feel like my use of it though may be non-traditional, meaning like I don't feel like I use it maybe how they expect users to use it, to generate code or whatever. I like to use it sort of as like a maybe sort of like as a thought generation, or to help me sort of generate new ideas for how I would approach solving a certain problem. So in addition to it just generating code, I think we'll maybe even demo this a little bit later, but you could just write comments, and in the comments, you could just have pseudocode, like loop through such and such, for each iteration within the loop, do such and such. So you're not necessarily writing code, but rather you're just sort of writing down your thought process, and it'll come up with some, code based off that. And I usually like to use that as a starting point. And then, manipulating the code from then on. But yeah, that's typically how I use it in my workflow.
Yeah, definitely. And we are going to dive into how we use it in both of those different contexts. Similarly, as I was playing around with it in my VS Code, I'm actually going to tangentially mention that you can use GitHub Copilot as an extension to your favorite IDE. In my case, I've been using VS Code, so this was the extension that I used, or I used it on VS Code. But if you use Visual Studio, NeoVim, or even the JetBrains suite, this is something that's available to you as well. But yeah, you mentioned how you can use comments to inform GitHub Copilot when it's generating the code. That's something that I had done as well. I actually will show very soon how I used, what are they called? Coding challenges for beginners. And I just put those in the comments, and I just wanted to see if GitHub Copilot would have solutions that actually work. But yeah, I'll share that pretty soon. I don't want to spoil it for folks. Isaac, have you heard about GitHub Copilot or seen it in action? Do you have any thoughts or reflections on it?
Yeah, for sure. Like Steve mentioned, I feel like it could definitely have different use cases and benefits. For one, I feel like it definitely can grow a skill set. So I've seen people use GitHub Copilot to generate files, like large files that they wouldn't be able to do on their own, like things that would take a lot more time, or just take away the need to kind of repeat yourself and create repetitive structures or repetitive functions in your code. So I think that's pretty cool, that that productivity aspect of it and how it can help you save time. I think what I'm really interested in it so far is how it's going to, I think it's just the productivity aspect of it. It makes me really excited. So how engineers who are like full stack, or they have all these technologies like in their waist belt, with a tool like this, it would actually be very useful for, you know, the savvier engineer, or the engineer that knows all these tricks uh, up their sleeve. At the same time, I feel like it can help with learning too. And I think, like, especially what I enjoy the most is that um, it's a tool that it's still pretty new, and it's got potential. So right now, as like people are using it more, I think the most exciting thing is ways that it can really boost productivity.
Yeah, definitely agree. And what a lot of folks might not know is that it's actually powered by OpenAI Codex. So I have pulled up here a quick resource about OpenAI Codex. This is at openai.com. It's one of their blogs. Let me actually add that to the chat if anyone's curious. There you go. But here you can find more information on what is under the hood for GitHub Copilot and how they kind of partnered with OpenAI to build out this tool for folks. But yeah, this is an exciting tool that I'm ready to jump right into. Let me actually pull up my VS Code and share with you all how that process went for me. Firefox is always very particular about what windows and tools you want to share. So let me see if I can pull up VS Code here.
So Ruby, you mentioned OpenAI. I'm curious, have you guys had an opportunity to check out any of the other OpenAI products or suites that they offer, like the Dolly or ChatGPT?
Yeah, actually, so not that long ago, looks like I have it on the side here, but not that long ago, I did an episode with our DevRel team on their Thursday stream on Dolly, and we were making AI art. I actually have a link for that as well if folks want to check that out later. Let me see. It is a YouTube video, and we went live not that long ago. Here it is on the screen. But yeah, you can catch that episode. Myself and Pooja, we were just playing around with ChatGPT and DALL-E. And I do want to point folks to a Postman collection that we have for OpenAI. So if you want to play around with OpenAI, we have this public collection for you available. I can, I'm juggling screen shares over here, but in a moment, I'll show you what that collection looks like because I finally got VS Code shared over on the side. So yeah, let me actually share that first. And remove this. Sweet. So some background here. I have VS Code as an application installed on my machine. In addition to just having VS Code for GitHub Copilot, I went into extensions here on the left. Oh, looks like it's a little laggy. Well, is my extension showing on the screen? It is not. Interesting. Well, you can take my word for it. You go into extensions on the left, and you can search for GitHub Copilot there, have it installed. What I learned while I was doing this actually was that you have to have VS Code as an application outside of your downloads folder. This was like an issue I ran into. I had to move that around. Then uninstall, reinstall VS Code for some reason. And finally, I was able to have GitHub Copilot installed as an extension on VS Code. Some extra background, I did want to also test what I was getting back from GitHub Copilot in my command prompt. So I have Python and Node already installed. The runtime environment's already installed on my machine so that I can test what GitHub Copilot produces, just in case, because you should always review what you get back from this technology. However, I'm wondering why I'm lagging here. So let me actually stop my screen share for a moment and see if I can share it again. Get Firefox out of the way. I'm not a Firefox hater, but I do run into a lot of issues with Firefox.
What's that about Firefox?
Isaac is like the biggest supporter of Firefox, in case anyone was curious or did not know this.
Yes.
All right, let's see. We'll try it one more time and see if it's lagging anymore. Okay, so here is my mouse. Seems to be moving just fine. I have a couple of files set up in a random untitled folder on my desktop, and I've already got GitHub Copilot installed. So something I want to do is use comments to have GitHub Copilot generate code for me. Let me see if I can have something. This is what, live.js. This is a JavaScript file. I'm going to have GitHub Copilot create a function that reverses an array for me. So I'm going to add a comment here. Create a function that reverses an array. It looks like it's still lagging. You all aren't able to see that go up there, are you?
Not yet.
Wonder.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, this is stinky. Because I'm seeing GitHub Copilot do this immediately, but it looks like it's slow on this end.
That's interesting.
So while we wait for that to come up, I had a question that I popped in the chat earlier. Feel free. It's open question for anyone to answer. The question was, if you could use Chat GPT or AI in school, how would you use it? So that's a question for, if you're a student now, how would you use Chat GPT or AI in your school, like for school work or in any school way? And for anyone who's already graduated, you can also try to answer that question. So I already came up with an answer, but I'm curious if anyone in the audience has one. I can share mine first. So I said I would use ChatGPT to help develop my ideas for short stories or creative writing. One thing I noticed is that's really cool about ChatGPT is that since it's a conversational uh, language learning model, you can give it a prompt or an idea, and it can develop that into a body of writing. So I think if anything, it helps with the creative workflow and helps develop that. I do like to have my own ideas, but it is cool to see something that can take an idea and just flow with it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that's definitely something I would do with it as well, especially with blog writing. I feel like I run into writer's block a lot, and so having that kind of support would be great for that purpose for me.
Okay. Yeah, safe
For
time.
me, I feel like it would be a good sort of like co-pilot for when it comes to like specific syntax, like stuff you have to like look up in the documentation, and maybe you've got like 20 tabs open and you just don't know which tab is the documentation. I feel like Copilot would be a good use for autocomplete in that particular instance.
For sure.
Yeah.
And to kind of troubleshoot here, so when I was sharing my screen, I'm seeing everything update live, but for some reason it's lagging on our streaming platform. I know, Steve, you have VS Code with GitHub Copilot as well. I'm going to share my comment with you, and hopefully we can see how that comment generates code through your screen if there's no lag. Fingers crossed.
So go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Oh, it's asking me for the settings. Let's see. Hopefully I don't have to restart the browser here.
Worst case scenario, I can share my screen, unshare it, and reshare it. You can see how it's changing, but that's not super convenient.
We're just gonna keep on trying here.
It's asking me to quit and reopen, so I guess it would kick me off the stream if I did that. So
while Ruby and Steve work on that, I see some really fun answers in the chat from my question about using ChatGPT in school. Amin said that they would use ChatGPT to do all of their assignments. Amin, I have a question for you then. What's the point of school?
What's the point of school?
Yeah, Amin said he would use ChatGPT to do all of his assignments. But if you let an AI do all your work, then what's the point of going to school? We're there to learn, right? Isn't that part of why you want to be at school? I don't know. I like the learning aspect of it. I like the feeling of growing. Someone else said they would use ChatGPT for math homework. Okay, I would have done the same. And that was from Emily. And Sarika said that they would have definitely used it to help write some papers. That's good for writer's block. Yeah, I agree.
Nice. So it looks like, awesome. Steve is able to share his screen without a lag. I've shared in our super secret chat the comment that I would have added for GitHub Copilot. So let's see how quickly it helps code complete for us or offer code solutions.
Are you guys able to see that all right? Should I make it larger?
Yeah, I could see.
Okay. All right. Let's see what it's got. So I guess it's going to give us a little example here. Okay. Let me give it some help. We'll do function reverse array.
There you go.
And then it wants me to enter my code here. It's making me do all the work here. There we go.
I guess the AI is trying to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. So it looks like we're initializing an array here, and we're just looping through empty array, and then we're looping through the passed in array, and then we're just pushing that value into the empty array and then returning the empty array.
That's so interesting that was the result that you got, because when I was doing it, I didn't get the add your code here comment or anything like that. It just gave me the code. So I'm curious why that change was there, if it's unique for each user for some reason.
Who knows?
I have an idea.
Oh, go ahead, Isaac. Go ahead.
I had an idea for maybe why that happened is because ChatGPT has a similar limitation where depending on the prompt or what the user requests, if it's not something very complex and very explicit, it doesn't know. It expects a complex request, something complicated, and if it doesn't get that, then it just gives either a guess, which isn't super detailed, or it doesn't give an answer. So I think that's might have what happened in Copilot. I don't know. What did you think, Steve?
I was going to say, I thought I read somewhere, and I could be completely making this up, but I thought I saw somewhere that not ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot actually uses the code that's in your project, in your directory or whatever, as for context. So if, for instance, you like to use for loops instead of mapping or for each or whatever, it'll use for loops or something like that. I think that's what it does. It kind of adapts to every user and kind of bases it off the context of the files you're working in.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that be the case. So if you're working on like a specific API, it'll like read the information that you have above and use the same variables or use the same patterns that you've been using, your own preferences as well as a developer, which is fascinating.
Yeah. Ruby, Isaac, have you guys seen this right here on the right side of my screen, the GitHub Copilot suggestions?
How did you pull that up? I'm curious. I haven't actually seen that come up on the side that way.
Yeah. So what you do is, let's see if I can get it to auto. So it'll go ahead and suggest, whatever the initial suggestion is, and you can actually tab through these and like return different ones, or you can go ahead and accept it. And then if there's a little menu button right here, and if you click Open GitHub Copilot, it'll synthesize some solutions. I think it does 10 by default, and it takes a while. You can tell it's working on it, and it'll actually produce different solutions for you down here, and you can go ahead and select an accepted solution based on what you like. So this one has a little bit more documentation in it with the comments.
Awesome. I love that is it providing some kind of reasoning or just telling you what's going on there?
I think it's just telling you what's going on. And then here, right here, it's not providing any code whatsoever, but it's creating kind of like the pseudocode.
Yeah.
So that could be helpful for maybe someone who's new to JavaScript and they don't want Copilot to necessarily give them the answer, but maybe kind of help nudge them in the right direction. That's why I feel like Copilot can be such a great educational tool, especially if you're learning a new language.
Agreed. I have seen some comparisons between ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot because, I mean, some of us have seen this already. People are using ChatGPT to come up with code solutions as well. The difference that I've seen is that ChatGPT is like this general purpose chatbot, right? So it might come up with some code solution, but like we said before, it's going to need a lot of revision, and it'll often iterate multiple times, or will need to be iterated multiple times for you to get exactly what you're looking for. But in addition to doing that, it provides like natural language reasoning and other suggestions for you to explore as well. So that's interesting too. But I do prefer GitHub Copilot for having those code solutions. It's like dedicated for that purpose.
Yeah.
Steve, I do want to share another comment that I was hoping to use.
Okay.
I'll share that in our super secret chat and see how that looks in GitHub Copilot as well.
Okay.
Cool. So now we'll see how to remove spaces found in a string.
All right, so here's an example. I like that it provides the example. Oh. So, I mean, as you can see, GitHub Copilot's not exactly perfect, but it gets it close enough. It tried to make that function declaration a comment. So pretty similar to the last solution in that we create a new string, empty string, we loop over it, and we're looking for anything that doesn't equal a space. And if it doesn't equal a space, no spaces plus equals the string. So we add the index of that character to the no spaces string. So basically that's how we skip spaces.
Out of curiosity, Steve, do you also have Node installed on your machine?
I believe I do. Let me double check here.
Okay.
Yep.
Sweet. Because we did mention that we wanted to test our solutions and make sure that they do actually work. And using your command line is a great way to do that. So let's see if these functions actually do what they're supposedly meant to do.
Yeah. So we'll do hello world. I'm going to console log that. I think console log outputs, if I were to run, let's see, if I do node, what did I call this? Index.js.
You might also just be able to copy paste that specific function instead of trying to read the file.
Copy it into here.
Yeah.
All right.
So you might have to declare what str is first. So like let string or str be something.
Oh, right.
And then give it the function. Cool.
This is awesome. It's like Steve's got 2 co-pilots. We'd also like to talk about the latest new GitHub Copilot, Ruby.
All right, let's see.
Boom.
There you go. Remove spaces.
Awesome.
All one word. Now, there's another one. I don't know if we have already tried this one, actually. I can't recall now. For reversing a string. Did we try that one? Or we just did reverse an array?
Did reverse an array.
Yeah, do you want to test that one out too?
Sure.
So we'll just like let array be, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Reverse.
So here's another
string
great
and array.
Whatever you want. We just want to make sure that we test it, see if it works.
So Ruby and Steve, this is another great, I guess, way to use AI or GitHub Copilot is to help with practicing data structures and algorithms, because especially if you are interviewing for jobs, I know those data structures can get tricky. This is a great way to help practice.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we've got our string. Oh, but we called it str, right? Not string.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So let's see, reverse. Let's see if it'll let me pass it in.
Oh, sweet.
It looks so weird.
Well, we know it works though because it looks weird. It's a good thing you didn't give it like a palindrome or something. So
Yeah.
we'll just be like, did it work? I don't know. Kayak is still a kayak. Cool. So awesome. I'm glad that we got to see GitHub Copilot in action, and we did test it too, just to be double sure, because you always want to have your human eyes on this AI solution. Isaac, did you want to add anything else to what we've been working on or any other challenges? Isaac, I think you might be muted.
I see so I guess another added challenge is I'm trying to think of like some of the old school algorithms problems that they gave, just simple ones with strings.
I wonder if it'll do like a non-coding solution, like write a poem about code. Probably won't do anything.
It's just massively confused.
It's like, write a poem.
I think you gave it a reality check just now.
Import the poem module. var poem. Okay, here we go. We got something here. Write the poem. Okay, poem.write. Okay, now it's just messing with us.
Oh, it gave it a path. Nice.
Okay, now it's just messing with us. It's not going to write the poem.
Yeah, it's a dedicated code solution here. Definitely.
Well, Ruby, I did have a second question that I popped in the chat. So I had it up while you guys were working on the problem. I'll bring it up again. Here we go. So the question is, what is one skill you would use AI to help you learn or get better at? I feel like there's a lot of skills I would love to get better at: cooking, art, and driving stick shift. But I think the number one skill that I would love to like just either get better at or completely like get rid of is replying to emails.
I think I saw that somewhere in the chat as well. Replying to emails is definitely one thing that I would automate and make sure that somebody can use my voice to do. But yeah, that's a good one.
For me, I wonder if I haven't really delved into this much, but I wonder how good GitHub Copilot would be at refactoring already existing code. So maybe you had a gnarly conditional or something, or loops nested within loops. I wonder if Copilot is smart enough to refactor that if you were to create a comment saying refactor the above code or something.
That would be some insane logic work it would be doing.
Yeah, but that'd be neat if it could.
Do we know for a fact that it can't?
I don't know. Let me see.
I mean, we can try one of the ones. Yeah, we have to know.
Let me know if you guys have any ideas. I can throw it in the GitHub Copilot playground here. I
have one that I want to try in Python because we talked about different languages, right? So far, we've done like a .js file. We can try a .py file. Do you happen to have Python on your machine as well? Just out of curiosity.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't even have the Python extension, so probably not.
I mean, you can double check with like Python-VEC because usually on MacBooks they come standard.
Oh, good call. Yeah, Python what?
-V, just to see what version you might have. Oh, I think it might still be in Node.
I think I exit out of it. Yeah. This is my command line.
Interesting.
I'm finding it.
All right. Well, I mean, we can try and just like not test it just because we don't have it installed on the machine. If we can in Python create a function that accepts two parameters.
Oh, how do you do a comment in Python? I'm like showing my like lack of Python ability right now.
No, this is great. But yeah, just out of curiosity for the folks who might not know, was there like a hotkey you used for the comment?
Oh yeah, I did what is it? Command question mark on the keyboard. I think it's
Oh, nice.
command. I have a custom to be. Yeah, command question mark does the auto comment.
I don't know what happened there. We jumped off for a moment. Did you see that too?
Yeah, I saw that.
But yeah, so Steve, you were saying you did the command question mark for the comment.
Yeah.
I wonder
and it'll
if
auto comment.
I wonder if we accidentally did something in our streaming platform with our hotkeys. But yeah, that's interesting.
It was Copilot.
Yeah.
Copilot just
Copilot's
like, I can't
taken
write
over.
poems. But yeah, that was poetic of Copilot. We can try create a function in Python that accepts two parameters. The first will be a list of numbers. The second parameter. Yep.
Well, look, it already knew that.
Oh, because it's a common coding challenge.
Oh, okay.
The second parameter will be a string that can be that can be one of the following values. ASC.
ASC.
Comma DESC. Yep, there you go.
Or random.
Perfect.
Nice.
All right, let's see. Oh, it's adding more to it. I say go for it.
Yeah.
Accept it.
All right, I'm just going to keep tabbing. Let's see. The function should return a list of numbers sorted in the order specified by the second param. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, and an example.
An example. Okay, so if you enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ascending, it'll pop out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Descending 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Random. Okay. Cool. I guess it's covering all its bases like a good programmer should. Oh, now we're talking about error handling. This is good.
This is such great practice. Thanks, GitHub Copilot.
So the function should raise an error if the second param is not one of the three options. That is actually a really good thing for it to catch because, you know, we want to handle edge cases like that. Okay, cool. So example. Okay, somebody passes in foo, we return an error. Okay. If the first param is not a list, it should return an error.
All right. I think we should start defining something because I don't know how long this example list will go.
These are a lot of cases.
I guess so. Okay, so in Python, how do you define a function?
You would start with DEF. So define.
Oh, just like Ruby.
Yeah. And then you can use test if you want, or sample. Yeah, that works too. Go. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
So, yep. It looks like it's doing a switch statement. So here's the list. Here's the string param. If type list is not equal list, raise error. If string is not in either of these, raise a value error. And then if string is ascending, sort the list. If string is descending, sort the list. And then I guess sorted, you can pass in. Is this a helper method or is this defined in Python? Like, is there a sorted method in Python?
That's a great question. I actually don't know the answer to that. But yeah, I'm sure we can look that up. But if we did want to test this, you can print. So similar to like console log, you would be printing instead. Oh, look, it's right there for you.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, this would be console log, and then I don't think I have Python on my computer.
Yeah.
Or maybe we could do it in
It's possible you might have Python 3 if you don't have just like plain Python.
Is it just 3?
Yeah, it would just be
that.
Sweet.
I think I do have Python. I'm in Python. All right. So
Yeah,
I
we
got to
can throw
throw
that one
this.
in there.
I like how it double indented here too. What is that? 4 spaces? Is that normal in Python?
Yeah, that's the typical syntax. I'm sure you
Right.
can set that up separately yourself in VS Code, however you want.
I'm also relearning through Steve, like why I stopped using Python.
All right, let's see here. Print. First parameter must be a list.
Hmm.
Maybe if I take out the sample. Unmatched. Oh, I had an extra. Hey, okay, so now if I do descending. Oh, that didn't work.
Oh, because I think, well, I don't know if it
I'm
would
not
matter.
calling. I'm not
Yeah.
calling the function. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what that sample was. I was thinking sample was like sample in Ruby, where if you call .sample on an array, it'll just pick a random index.
Oh, neat.
So this is returning an error, type error. First parameter must be a list, which I think is the first case here. So it's saying if type list is not equal list. So in Python, I guess, is this a list? List should be just an array, right?
So just double checking the syntax, when you had your print statement, it was sample parentheses, then the brackets for the array.
Mhm.
And then you close that parentheses eventually, right? There should be 2 closing parentheses after descending and ascending.
Yes.
Hmm.
Interesting. We're calling sample. Here's the first. Should be a list. I'm going to try it without the print. Still the same.
So I wasn't getting this error on my end. I wonder if it's because we skipped some of its suggestions.
Possibly.
But yeah, this is one of the the big reasons why you should be testing this stuff before you put it into some kind of production code, because you will run into issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I had another question for the audience. The question was, would you use AI to make art? And I gave an answer of an example of how I would use it. I said I would use AI to help improve my photography by automating things like adding watermark labels.
Cool. So Steve, I just sent you what GitHub Copilot had suggested for me as far
Okay.
as the function. So for me, it wasn't sample, it was test. So
Okay.
there's that difference in the language there. And then I had a simple print statement as well with like the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 array. And we'll see if that one works.
Oh, I guess because it's Python, like indentation is important.
Yeah.
I tried copying it straight from the private chat,
Mm.
and it like messed up the indentation, so it like gave me an error. So I'm going to copy it into VS Code first. And this try isn't Python, right?
No, that's just me.
You never know. It could be like a try catch or something. We got our function defined there. And then we're going to call print test. Boom. So that's ascending. Try descending. Here we go.
Nice. So this was one of the working examples that GitHub Copilot actually gave me in my editor. So it should have been the same. There must be some like syntactical error somewhere or something we skipped in their suggestions.
Possibly. With me, you never know. It could always be a syntax error.
But yeah, this is awesome. It was great to see how really in-depth GitHub Copilot went with the examples and like the error cases. That's something that I hadn't seen in my experience, even with literally the same challenge. I didn't see as many examples. And that's another thing that stood out to me is that, you got different responses than I did. So that's fascinating.
Yeah. I think even if we hadn't generated any code whatsoever, like all this that the GitHub Copilot generated, things for us to think about. If the first param is non-existent, return an error. If the second param is non-existent, return an error. I think all those things are important things to think about. And we would have eventually ran into those edge cases, but it's good that GitHub Copilot's bringing those things to the front of our mind. This, I feel like, is the value of GitHub Copilot, not necessarily the code, because the code will happen. We'll write code. Code is just code. It's
Yeah.
it's the logic. Are we thinking about all the edge cases? That's the important part.
Yeah, 100%. And this is definitely something that I think a lot of newer developers, junior developers, students, learners should be checking out because it's a great support to have. But yeah, that said, you do get, I think, just a 60-day trial, free trial with it. It's $10 a month after that.
Yeah.
And it is an extension to your favorite IDE. So speaking of VS Code extensions, in the interest of time, I'm going to stop your screen share here really quickly, Steven. I know you're sharing the extension there, which is great. But yeah, speaking of VS Code extensions, fans of Postman had shared that they would love to see a VS Code extension for Postman, and we are happy to share that our engineering teams are hard at work, actually, trying to make that happen this year. So you can check out what else is in the pipeline for this year in one of our latest blogs. Let me actually share that across the screen. It's in our product updates blog. So if you hit that article, you will find all of our different updates that will be coming this year. The VS Code extension for Postman is one of those updates. Awesome. Yeah, Isaac, actually, we can move on to talking about blog posts since we just shared one of our blog articles. Are there any recent blogs from student programs that people should check out?
Yeah, for sure. So I just shared the link to the student programs blog. You can check out our recent articles that we've written, like a highlight of our graduating class of Postman student leaders, which is part of our Postman student leader program. So once you complete the student expert, you can go on to Postman Student Leader and apply to try to get in. But you can learn more about that by reading the blog post written by our coworker Ali on the program. So if you just follow the link that was posted in the chat, that'll take you directly there to the student programs page. Or you can also use the link that Ruby is sharing on the screen there, blog.postman.com, and search student programs. But yeah, we always have new articles, blog posts coming out, and they'll be covering topics like our programs and different resources in Postman that you can use to really grow your skill set and your skills as a developer.
Awesome. So having said all of that about our blog posts, let's move on into shout outs, which is how we love to end all of our streams. I have a shout out actually for Salman Sheikh. He's a student expert on our Discord server, and he used the Share Your Work channel to show off a tool that he created. And what it does is that it helps writers, especially blog post writers, who post their articles online. It helps them post them on multiple platforms with just one click. It's especially impressive how Salman was able to create this with the help of APIs and Postman. And I have a link actually to his project somewhere in all of these links. There it is, Salman's project. But yeah, we love seeing the projects that our community members work on and especially how they apply their API knowledge. If you're curious about what folks are doing, you're always welcome to join our Discord community to find out what they're working on. So here is a link to the Discord community. But with that, I'm going to pass it to you, Isaac. Do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, for sure. Quick shout out to Ashish in our Discord community server for sharing resources like remote jobs and remote work for our students. I know that a lot of students right now are might be looking for your first internship or your first job opportunity soon after graduation. So big shout out to Ashish. This is a model member of our community. We really like to see students just sharing resources with each other just like that. So Yeah, thank you, Ashish, and shout out to you.
Nice. Steve, do you have any shout outs that you want to share or maybe mention the Dallas developer community?
Yeah. We recently rebranded. We were a free code camp, but now we wanted to be a little bit more inclusive of everyone in the DFW area that is maybe starting their journey, maybe not necessarily through free code camp, but through other means. So we are the Dallas Software Developer Group now. And yeah, there's the link for it right there. Please join our Discord server, ask questions. We've got a bunch of people learning how to code in that group, and then we've also got a bunch of people that have been in the industry for quite a while and are more than eager to help people get started with programming.
Awesome. It sounds very similar to what we have going on as well. So please check out the Dallas Software Developer Group to join that community as well. Cool.
The code is bigger in Texas.
The code is bigger. Actually, that might be something GitHub Copilot was picking up on. It's like, let me just make this even bigger for Steve.
It could be. I was really hoping the poem thing would work out, but
maybe someday they'll take that as feedback. But yeah, let's actually move into our Kahoot game, which is how we love just finishing out our stream after our shout outs. So it looks like Isaac has it up here. And if you log into kahoot.it, you enter this game pin, you should be able to join our game live with all of us. I'm going to see if I can join and answer some of these questions too. Let me see. Enter that. Isaac, it's 497-9086.
Yes.
Here we go. And now I will join from my phone. Ooh, Inspired Alpaca.
Nice.
That's
Ruby
the name
always
it picked
gets-
for me.
Oh, that's yours, Steve?
Yeah.
I thought that was Ruby. I was about to say Ruby always gets some of the most fun names in our Kahoot games.
Oh, unless there's two inspired alpacas.
This town ain't big enough for two of them. This stream.
Nice. Let's see if we can get maybe one more person and then we'll jump right in.
For sure.
Oh, we got two.
more people. Nice.
Eager Lobster. Lovely Duck.
Awesome. I see a lot of people excited for this game. Let's jump in.
I'm so nervous.
You should be.
Hands are shaking. All right. First question is, what does ChatGPT do? Does it write the perfect essay to help you ace your literature class? Interacts in a conversational way to answer questions given a prompt? Design stunning video games that become #1 on the App Store? Or write the perfect application to become a Postman student leader? These are all great choices. There's only one answer.
I feel like there's potential here for a lot of these.
Yeah.
And the correct answer was B. ChatGPT interacts in a conversational way to answer questions given a prompt. All the other answers they might have sounded like they could be, but keyword was perfect. And one of the limitations of ChatGPT is that it does not give perfect answers, which we mentioned. Next.
Ooh.
All right, scoreboard. I want that rapid penguin hat and that inspired alpaca tassel. All right, question number 2. What did we do in today's live stream with Steve? Was it A, we learned that Ruby and Isaac are actually AI streamers made by Postman? B, we discussed different sci-fi movies with AI like Terminator and iRobot? C, we asked ChatGPT to make beef Wellington, but food was overcooked? Or D, we discussed and tried AI tools like GitHub Copilot?
It's all a simulation.
That's the
Somebody
Matrix.
voted for C.
Nice. I could go for some beef Wellington right now.
I'm hungry.
Awesome. Rapid Penguin in first, Eager Lobster coming up to second, Inspired Alpaca. It's still anyone's game. Question 3, what did we add to our student expert training in the latest update? Was it a new skill check lesson where you can test your skills and collection? Or a new AI-driven feature called PostMech to automate building requests? C, a high score leaderboard to compete with your friends? Or D, a selfie page to share selfies after you finish student expert?
Some of these are great, like in the future ideas.
Thank you. We can consider some of these. And the correct answer was A, a new skill check lesson where you can test your skills and collection was added to student expert. 2 people want that selfie page. I think we need to talk about that.
The people have spoken.
Ooh, awesome. Eager Lobster on fire. Question number 4. Official Postman student leaders get A, asked to teach an API class in college. B, an acceptance letter in their mailbox from Postman. C, access to Postman resources to organize events on their campus. Or D, featured on the Postman TikTok page.
You know, not a lot of folks know that there's a Postman Instagram page.
I was about to ask, do you guys have a TikTok?
It's only a matter of time.
Soon. And the correct answer was C. Postman student leaders get access to Postman resources to organize events on their campus.
Nice. Dandy dog
Awesome.
on fire.
That dandy dog. All right, final question. Who was the special guest in our last Postman Student Programs live stream? Was it A, Akanksha, B, Abhinav, C, Joyce, or D, my pet dog?
I'll ask after the question's done, but I'm curious if you have a pet dog.
I do.
Oh, that's right, you do. I remember seeing them.
Yeah. You can hear her usually. She's a loud chihuahua. All right, and the answer was A, Akanksha. Wow. Only 2 people got that right. A lot of you thought it was Abhinav. I think we should have him in a future stream.
I feel like we've had this question before, and people have wanted Abhinav previously too.
We should discuss that in the future.
Take it to the drawing board.
Awesome. Number 3, in third place, Dandy Dog. In second, Eager Lobster. And in first,
Bum, ba, bum.
Rapid Penguin.
Ooh, that's a great
Nice.
hat.
Yeah.
Nice one.
What is
Thanks for
Eager
playing,
Lobster
everyone.
wearing? Is that a pancake? A waffle?
Looks like a pie. Cherry pie.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I love seeing the leaderboard in Kahoot and seeing what folks think is the answer to some questions. I feel like that's really enlightening for us. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. We shared our shout outs. We had such a fun time with Steve. Thank you for saving the day with your screen share and not showing a lag like I did. Yeah, and Isaac, of course, for all of your questions and input and suggestions. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Did you all have any closing thoughts or remarks before we end our stream?
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you, Steve, for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you guys in the next live stream.
Steve, did you have any closing thoughts?
No, thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Nice. And speaking of next live stream, Isaac just reminded me, we will be doing our live stream once a month going forward. So you can expect us on the last Tuesday of every month. So in March, we will be on the last Tuesday. I can't remember what that date is now, but it'll be that last Tuesday. And then same for April and going forward. Awesome. But with that, I hope everyone has a great day, a great week, and enjoy playing with GitHub Copilot and your other VS Code extensions.
Awesome. Goodbye, everyone.
See y'all.